1992, Hilltop School will cease to exist. This is a documentary about Hilltop School. If you'd like to follow me, I will take you back to the history of Hilltop School. The old drinking dish, not so good as it was today. Remember old Mr. Price's room, but it hasn't changed such a great deal, except there has ventilators being added to the actual roofs. I don't know if a lot of people remember these old type of desks, but they was used in the old times and still used to the present day. As Kirsty here, one of the former pupils, will show you. This is the girls' show, it was the boys as well. Now we are in the assembly room, which is now converted into a games room for PE, games, etc. As you can see here, is the modern technology of today. Compared with the old piano, is what was used in the old times. The old chairs, still as comfortable today as they was them days.
I'm going off then, Eric, for now. I've got somebody quarter to 4. Yes, I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Fine.
The present pupils at Hilltop School, I'm just going to ask them now what they think of the school now.
We think it's really good, and it's a shame that it's closing down.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
And there's some former pupils of the school here. I'd like to ask them what they think of the school.
Oh, we're very sorry it's closing. We've come back to see it, we're very sorry it's closing.
We're two sisters and we both came to this school.
Tell you about the history of Hilltop School, but there is a person that I know that can tell us a little more, which will be introducing to him. Mr. Sean, it's nice to meet you. Obviously I don't know quite a lot about the history, which is why I want to ask you a few questions on the actual history of the school.
Okay.
When was the actual school built, Mr. Sean?
Well, this building was built and opened in 1911. September the 4th, 1911 it opened. Of course, in those days it was not one school. It was actually 4 separate schools. There was a senior boys and girls at the front by the road and a junior boys and girls at the bottom end here by, in fact, the part that we're sitting in now was the junior boys when it was opened.
I was also informed that the school was actually bombed.
Yes, in 1940, 31st of October I think was the date.
What was the school?
Well, there was a terrific air raid on the town that night according to the school logbooks, and the bomb fell right on what was then called the 2 central halls, which is where the present gym is at the front of the school. And according to the headmistress who wrote in the school logbook, the school was very severely damaged. The 2 main classrooms were destroyed and so were the 2 central halls. And in fact you can see quite clearly from outside the building where it was rebuilt, and you can see the part that was destroyed. Yes.
Children and the teachers go if there was ever
Yeah.
air raid on.
Well, there was air raid shelters down underneath the dingle, and they were built before the war started, actually, in preparation for the war. And quite frequently during the war, air raid sirens went, and the whole school went down into the air raid shelters, where the girls did things like knitting and reciting poetry according to the logbooks.
So it was quite a large place then.
The air raid shelters are huge. You could get 600 children in them, and they are still there, although they're bricked up. There's no access now.
I see. Any idea when the school was actually separated? Because it was separated.
Yes, the juniors moved out shortly after the war, and it became a purely two secondary schools, secondary boys, secondary girls, and then during the 1960s it was merged into a single school, a mixed school, and about the same time it went comprehensive as well. It had been a secondary modern school before that.
Oh, I see.
So somewhere in the 1960s, I'm not sure of the exact date.
I see. Oh, and I was on the way in, there's a crest on the front of the school.
Yes,
No,
well there are actually two.
Doesn't realise what I mean.
No, well there are two. There's one at each end in actual fact.
Same crest.
The same crest, yeah. It's Latin, of course. It means work overcomes all, or work conquers all. And it's actually the crest of the old West Bromwich Council. They of course built the school, and it was their crest that goes on. A lot of people think it's the school crest, which it isn't. It's the town crest. And you see the same badge and Latin motto quite a lot of places. It's on the gates of the Memorial Gardens. It's on the old grammar school.
I see. They used to have badges, if I'm right, at the old top school.
Yes.
In that sort of crest.
It was similar. Well, I mean, I've been here 15 years, and
so going back quite a few years.
yes, the badge wasn't like that while I've been here, but it may have been a while
So
ago.
about 30 years ago.
Yes,
It was.
it's changed a number of times as head teachers have come and gone. They've redesigned the badge. So, and of course, presently we don't have a school uniform, so we don't have a badge anyway.
Anything to say about the actual school, Claudia and Sasha?
Well, it's very sad. It's the end of an era for Hilltop. There have been secondary schools in Hilltop for ever since secondary education has been compulsory, and it's very sad to think that there won't be one now, and it's almost like a part of Hilltop's died, isn't it, in a way? It's very sad, but it's part of
like a monument. No.
That's right. It'd be very interesting. We were going to try and keep the honours boards and the war memorial and things like that, trying to keep that in the area, so at least there'll be some memento of the school left in Hilltop.
What will actually happen to those? Do you think go to another part of a different type of school or a museum?
We're hoping they'll go to the library.
Oh, so it was.
But, we haven't negotiated that, so we don't know yet.
There's absolutely no chance the school will ever reopen.
I would think it's almost impossible, because the building really isn't up to modern standards. The site is too small to develop it into a proper school, as it were. You couldn't build a new school here, it's far too small. And no, I think that I don't know what will happen to the site. I understand that it's likely to be sold for development, but I really don't know yet.
Which is a great shame.
Yes, but it's the way of things.
Right, Mr. Sharman, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Most helpful, and I'm very grateful
That's
for
a
the
pleasure.
information.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sharman, thank you.
very much.
In the front of the school, the bell tower, which obviously I'm trying to work out the name on it, which looks like Labour, Aminia, Vincent. Now I shall start taking you around the school itself. This is the main boys' playground of Hilltop School. There were two playgrounds, which is one still over the girls' side, and I'll say this one is the boys'. As I will show you around now. Johnny Atkinson. In the boys' office. I forgot what his name is now. It was Labour, Summit, Vincent. Right under the, you know, the crest. Yeah. Right under the crest. I just noticed it myself when I come here. It's got Labour, Summit, Vincent. I don't know what it means. Unless that was the actual houses. What was like Cheshire and... No,
did you say you've been here? Was you here in 1959 then? Right. Yeah?
No, we were in Boston.
Oh, you were in Spain, and then you've been here ever since like...
I've been here.
Have you?
Gibson.
Oh, look at that.
So I do imagine went through two great wars. 1914, 18, 19... Never bombed once.
You're talking about the war now?
That's right.
Oh, well, the front of 1940 it was, the night of October the 31st, yes. 1940, that's right, 1940. And a high explosive bomb yes. fell on the front of the school against the main road.
Yes.
And it blew out what were then the two central halls,
yes.
which is now the gym, of course. And it severely damaged the two classrooms on the front, which are now rooms 4 and 3. They were called senior boys and senior girls classrooms. And the school, of course, was closed while the Director of Education and the Borough Surveyor decided what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was closed for 3 weeks, and then they reopened it for some of the girls using Newlands, which is, I think, the house across the road, isn't it? Newlands. It's where the clinic is. And that belonged to this school at that time, apparently. There was a home economics room there and a domestic science flat.
Yes.
And then a lot of the girls were transferred to Spon Lane School, and it was opened after 3 weeks to some of the girls who came in half the day, and the other girls came in the other half day. The teachers went to work in the ration card office in West Bromwich in the daytime, and at night some of them were cooking food in the emergency rescue station in Lodge Road School. And then they were given the day off if they'd worked overnight. So while the school was closed, the teachers were doing war work.
What's actually happened to the, the air raid shelter? Had that used to lead up to the old cinema or
No, I don't believe so. No, we've been down there about, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
And no, it doesn't go anywhere.
It's just under the playground?
Just under the bottom playground, yes. That's right.
I
Is
presume...
it a large diameter of underground or...?
It's quite substantial, yes. There's a lot of it.
It is?
To go back. Well, it dated 600 people, 300 boys, 300 girls. There were two air raid shelters,
yes.
One for boys, one for girls. They have their own toilets down there.
Is that?
Chemical toilets,
yes.
Which are still down there. When we went down about 4 or 5 years ago, the toilets were still there.
I presume it's being bricked up now?
It's been bricked up for safety reasons, yes. The brickwork had collapsed, and that's how we managed to get in and have a look. But after we'd looked round,
do you know what's actually happening to the school after 12 months' time? Is it going to be pulled down, or does anyone know?
There's a question I would like to ask you. On the front
Underneath it has a name, Labour, something, Vincent.
That's right.
Any ideas what that name?
Work conquers all.
What's your opinion of the school closing down? We'd like to,
Very sad at all that a school of this age reaches its end of its days, and of course with much fewer kids in school, obviously some schools have got to close. So it's very sad. We're all very upset about it.
Yeah.
Did you realise that
The actual school is sort of moulded as an H.
Separate schools, there were connecting doors between them, but the pupils didn't use those. They were run as 4 separate schools. Eventually it was made into 2 schools, as I say, 2 secondary boys and a secondary girl, and eventually of course in 1. I've been head of history here for the last 14 years, so I've gone into the history of it out of my own interest, and the kids did a lot of project work about it. So.
School closing down?
Very sad. Very, very sad.
You'd like to stop on
Oh, yes, I would, definitely.
longer?
Definitely.
have you got any idea what might happen to the school, whether it'll be closed down or on your you know, whether it'll be pulled down?
We don't know.
You don't know?
I think that eventually that will be the destiny of the school itself.
Mr. Reynolds still comes to see my husband.
Does
See
he?
him enough ago, yeah.
Does he still live in West Bromwich? Because
No, he lives in Tipton.
he used to own a corn shop, hadn't he?
Yeah, but he lives in Tipton now.
How about Mr. Hall? Used to see him down Grey Bridge in the petrol
I haven't seen him
station.
for a good while, but he's still alive.
Is he?
Still alive, yeah.
Are they? Do you remember Mr. Price?
The Welshman.
Our teacher.
I remember the Welshman. Yeah.
The art teacher. Mr. Jones. Do you remember,
If it's the right
do you
one.
remember Mr. Mansour's secretary, Mrs. Jones? You do?
Yeah, I do.
How is she?
So,
So, was she?
Yeah.
So,
He was here last week.
how about Mr. Turner, Mr. Tittle?
They're still alive.
They are.
I don't see them, but they're still alive, yeah.
They are. I suppose really you miss quite a few teachers. You know, as time goes by. This is what this
Yeah, that many come and that many go.
it's the idea of this job, you see, because it's sentimental. If the school is pulled down, then, you know, we've only got some film, really. That's the idea of it. It's a shame, really, isn't it? Would you work, if you had to saw your life over again, would you say, I wouldn't hesitate to work in Hilltop School?
I'll come back again tomorrow.
In fact, that's what I was saying to my mate. If I could be quite alive when I came the other day, I could stop at the school all day. It's memories, isn't it?
Yeah, it is absolutely,
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'm going to take you down to the bottom half of the school, which is known as the Dingle. If you'd like to follow me down here, In the early days, as you've been explained, the dingle itself was two separate schools, two top halves, boys senior, girls senior, and two bottom halves, which is the boys juniors and the girls juniors. There was an infants, which was over the road. Don't know whether you remember this, the clinic itself, which used to be a school as well. Right, now we'll come to the actual boys junior, which is now obviously turned into a metal shed itself. This is the metal shed, which used to be run by Mr. Lyon or Mr. Tittle, which, you know, previous metal teachers, you know, was taken over here. If you'd like to have a look round, you'll see all the workbenches and voices and machinery and all equipment. This is Mr. Lyon's woodworking shop, which is still a part of the boys' junior school till it was adapted into senior. As you can see, there is all woodworking machinery and everything to make any kind of woodworking tool you would like. These are the new units that all the 5th years of the last year will be taught in, as the school will be blocked off in the summer holidays. And those two are looking at the science lab. There's the metal shed, the woodworking, and finally Mr. Turner's science lab itself, which is now converted into a mechanics shop. I understand that Mr. Turner is still alive, and Mr. Lyon. This is the old junior girls. Now it is actually turned into a cookery room. As you can well imagine, there's been quite a lot of cake making in this place. The boys also use this department as well now, up until the present date. This is the second part of the cookery at the girls' school. The whole of the lot has actually been converted into a cookery rooms, which are based as two with one dividing door. As you'll see, they've got quite all the new equipment, not like the old days. This is the bottom half of the school is still in, and I'd like to take you down now to the actual dingle, where when the school first opened, underneath the ground that we are on now are air raid shelters for the girls. On the other side of the playground there are air raid shelters for the boys, which the air raid shelters, you know, possibly know, that held 300 boys, and on the other side we held 300 girls on this side. We are now standing on all of the air raid shelters, which is quite big. There were chemical toilets, which was natural. I'm going to take you down to the bottom half of the dingle itself, where they have actually put a new gate now, which didn't used to be here. Like to follow me down here. It's covered now with quite a bit of rubble and trees and grass and dirt, which you can imagine has been quite a few years like this. I think the air raid shelters are historic as they are. If you'd like to look inside there, as it is now, is only all rubble, dirt, trees, and quite a lot of shrubbery, but I can assure you in there was enough room for 600 children. This is now the whole of the bottom half of the school. If you care to see that where the partitions was, where the boys are, is on the right hand side, juniors, and the left hand side is the old girls juniors. I'd imagine the actual dividing part was where the bricks are sticking out. If you'd like to follow me up to the top end of the girls' school, the high school, I'll show you a little round the top half. Seems quite a lonely place now. Not like I can imagine over the years that there's been so much enjoyment that's been playing out here. Really, I think it's a shame that it's going to be closed down now. It holds so much more to stay open for a little longer. That part there in the middle of the girls' school is a conversion from the actual classrooms to a staff room and an head teacher's room. This is all the top half of the girls' school. The school itself is shaped as an H, which is indication of hilltop, and the old crest as well. Up on the top half of the girls' school and the boys' school, there seems to be like bell towers, like the front end. As you can see, this is another classroom, one of the girls' classrooms on the girls' side of the high school. This bell tower, which we are now looking at, was connected up in the assembly hall. A member of the staff would pull the ropes which rang all the three bells towers separately. The pupils aired these so they would not be late for school. The bells were dismantled and taken down as they were not safe to use. The exact year is not known. It's still the old part of the girls' school, which they have put quite a lot of old equipment in here. As you can see, Bunsen burners and gas bottles and all manner of equipment, old typewriters. What will happen to the equipment later on, whether they'll take it to a museum, I do not know. This is the very top half of the girls' high school. As you can see, the remaining half of the bell tower, the girls' bell tower. Yes, there was originally bell towers up there, bells up there to ring for dinner, whatever, but unfortunately there's not a lot of people that actually remember them, even from 77 years ago. Right, this is the old headmaster's room. As you can see now, we're in the boys' half again, the top half, and now, unfortunately, this is the end. As you can see now, we're at the top half of the school at the entrance of the boys. We've spoke to all the teachers and they all say that if they had their chance, and pupils, they would all come back. We've been through the historic to the building, we've been through a journey through time. Unfortunately now is the end of the history of Hilltop School. Thank you for listening. School closing down? You'd like to stop on longer? Take you down to the bottom half of the school, which is known as the Dingle. So if you'd like to follow me down here.
Mr. Turner, Mr. Turner.
Really good, and it's a shame that it's closing down.
This is Mr. Lyon's woodworking shop, which is still a part of the boys' junior school till it was adapted into senior. It's still the old part of the girls' school, which they have put quite a lot of old equipment.
The air raid shelters are huge. You could get 600 children in them, and they are still there.
Cake making in this place. The boys also use this department as well now. up until the present date. Really, I think it's a shame that it's going to be closed down now. These are the new units that all the 5th years of the last year will be taught in. This is all the top half of the girls' school. The school itself is shaped as an H, which is indication of...
So somewhere in the 1960s, I'm not sure. I mean, I've been here 15 years. I remember quite a few years. Yes. The back wasn't like that when I was born. It may have been.
This is the old junior girls. Now it is actually turned into a cookery room. As you can well imagine, there's been quite a lot of cake making in this place. When first opened, underneath the ground that we are on now are air raid shelters for the girls. On the other side of the playground there are air raid shelters for the boys. Which...
How about Mr Turner, Mr Tittle?
I don't see them.
They are. I suppose really.
If you'd like to follow me up to the top end of the girls' school, the high school, I'll show you a little round the top half. Seems quite a lonely place now. Not like you imagine over the years that there's been so much enjoyment. Really, I think it's a shame that it's going to be closed down now.
Well, it's very sad. It's the end of an era for Hilltop. There have been secondary schools in Hilltop for ever since secondary education has been compulsory. And it's very sad to think that there won't be one now.